5 Reasons to Appreciate the Teacher by Krishna's Mercy. Quote, when Lord Brahma was perplexed about how to construct the material manifestations in the universe and went down within the water to find out the means and the source of his lotus seat, he heard the word tapa vibrated twice. Taking the path of tapa is the second birth of the desiring disciple. The word upashrinot is very significant. It is similar to upanayana, or bringing the disciple nearer to the spiritual master for the path of tapa. So Brahmaji was thus initiated by Lord Krishna, and this fact is corroborated by Brahmaji himself in his book, the Brahma-samhita. Shrila Prabhupada, Shrimad Bhagavatam 2.96 Purport. 1. Little pay.
That person is so smart. They were doing well in their particular industry. By all accounts, they were a successful professional. They abruptly gave it up. They left behind everything they worked so hard to achieve. They felt a higher calling in life. They wanted to teach. Their pay is now significantly reduced. I could never make a similar sacrifice. Salary is status. Salary equates to the kind of car you drive and the square footage of your home. How can you take self-worth from knowing that you are barely paid anything in comparison to your peers?
2. Little recognition.
Does anyone remember learning to read? Perhaps some people do, but I am talking about the ins and outs. It is a daily kind of struggle. There is a reason for so many years of schooling for children. The teacher sits through the entire time, patiently. They are basically forgotten by the students. The kids will move on. They will make use of their skills for a lifetime, and those skills were taught to them by someone standing at the front of the classroom.
3. Facing challenges.
These teachers have to deal with all kinds of students. There is no hanging up on the hard ones, as they joke about with talk radio hosts. Some of the students pay attention, respond appropriately, respect boundaries, and show enthusiasm in learning. Other students might be just the opposite. The teacher has to continue, irrespective of the reception. Then, the next year, they do it all over again with a different set of students.
4. Society would be lost without them.
There is a practical explanation for the lower pay. It is based on how many students the teacher connects with over the course of a year. The numbers simply do not match the attendance figures for that professional sports team, which has customers paying to enter the gates. Okay, that is true, but if teaching were so easy, maybe others should give it a try. Society would be lost without teachers. I have tried it myself, in an informal manner. I am terrible at it. I would be lost in front of a classroom full of students. I would lose my patience after 5 minutes.
5. Exude compassion. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada applies a steady emphasis on what is known as the descending process of knowledge. This is to compare against the ascending process, which has taken hold over the world in conjunction with rapid advancements in technology. The ascending process is easy to understand, as it correlates directly with what is known as advancement or progress. For instance, now that man can soar above the clouds, this is ascension, both in the literal and figurative senses. It is proceeding beyond a previous inferior state. Man previously could not reach the skies through air travel. They have that option now. The option became available through scientific research, trial and error, experimentation, and the like. The knowledge ascended like stacking together bits and pieces of information gathered over an extended period of time. The descending process of knowledge is something as simple as writing down a truth or principle and preserving it for future generations to access. One note says, "Do not place your hand in fire. You will get burned." Another note says, "Marriage is a difficult but necessary endeavor for the continuation of the human population. Treat it seriously and do not enter it without proper understanding." There are countless notes, in fact, and some of the information might have been discovered through the ascending process. In other words, even the ascending process relies on trust and authority, to some degree, which is at the foundation of the descending process. With regards to actual knowledge, vidya, required for completion of the enlightenment of the individual, suited for the human birth, the only way to proceed is the descending process. There is no way of reaching the proper conclusion through ascension. There simply is not enough time to research the vast creation and process every item of study, not even with the assistance of a computer, a genius mathematician, or learning modules of artificial intelligence. If the descending process is the only way to enlightenment, then there has to be a sort of gatekeeper. Someone has to pass along the wisdom. Since this wisdom will shatter the hopes and dreams of the ignorant, it might be a risky affair. The teacher will not always be welcomed with open arms. The students might not appreciate what they have to hear. They might get offended by this recommendation and that. We see from the above review that there is sufficient justification for appreciating teachers. The appreciation soars to new heights when dealing with the subject of transcendence. We see that up to Lord Brahma, who is like the greatest diva or celestial, there is a reliance, a need for outside assistance. Brahma, who is the creator, was initiated directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only then could the process of creation commence. Quote, "The Vedic scriptures and the acharyas, or saintly teachers, are compared to expert boatmen, and the facilities of the human body are compared to favorable breezes that help the boat ply smoothly to its desired destination." Shrila Prabhupada, Sri Ishopanishad 3 Purport. In the same way, the spiritual master who has kindly offered his assistance, who has made every effort to reach us, despite our resistance and hesitance, has a value which cannot be measured. We know for sure that the knowledge which descends to us is legitimate based on the changes. After implementation, in taking the instructions seriously, we have a different way of life. We actually see the spiritual equality of all beings. Perhaps not to the level of a steady vision, but we at least understand in principle. Vidya vinay sampanne, brahmane gavihastini, shuna chaiva shwapakecha, panditaha samdarshinaha. Quote, "The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast." Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 5:18. We are trying to reach for something better. We have tasted something better, and we want to maintain that higher standard of living. Therefore, we aim for Drita Vrata, or a steady vow, mirroring the steadiness and compassion and kindness of the Guru, who gave us the world and more. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasvarjam rasopya asya param drishtva nivartate. Quote, "The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But, ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness." Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 2:59. In closing, giving the world and more, not fame or payment for, just because of limitless compassion to rise from ignorance and passion into life of higher way with transcendence to stay, never on my own could reach, blessed the ones who teach.